Hello, everyone. This is Suzette Loggins, your friendly realtor, and I have my friend with me, Michael.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Coran. Good to see you. Excited
Yeah,
to be able to have a conversation with Suzette today.
yeah. And the reason why we're coming on here, because we want to make sure that you all are taken care of. We're almost at the end of 2023. We know that this is a crazy real estate market, and we really appreciate you reaching out to me first, Suzette, and then me giving you over to Michael to run credit and kind of checking out everything and getting you started on this real estate journey.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, Suzette. It really starts with not you, Suzette, but whoever's listening to this, it starts with your desire to buy a home. And then we are the professionals that can help you connect the dots, answer questions, get you approved, and get you set up and ready to go.
Exactly. So we have a couple of reasons we are here. We want to make sure that you are successful in 2024. So we want to make sure that you know that we're here for you, and you can always reach out to us. But we have some pro tips to share with you today. One of the things we want to start off talking about is the market. I know that you probably have watched the news and it seems like it's super crazy out there, which in some ways it is. Would you agree, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, this has definitely been one of the more challenging markets to really know and navigate what's going on because it's changing and it's been so volatile. And so, these questions come up constantly, like what's happening in the real estate market? And this is an opportunity for us to give you some feedback and some updates.
Exactly, exactly. Perfect. So, for one, people are still buying houses, people are still selling houses, they're buying houses. Of course, the inventory is low, but people are still making it happen. I am still selling homes every single month to people just like you. People just like you are doing what they need to do to get into houses. So, for instance, in Sacramento, when a house goes on the market, as long as it's priced properly, is pretty much ready, to move in, there's no major issues with it. Normally, homes are sold within 7 to 10 days. That means that once the house hits the market and you see it on one of those sites, that
Mhm.
means someone is coming in with an offer to say, yes, I want to buy this house. So things are happening, especially here in Sacramento. Another thing that a lot of people always ask, oh my God, like the investors are just buying up all the houses. And yes, there are investors buying homes, but when you look at the Sacramento Association of Realtors statistics as far as cash buyers, there's about a third of the sales, the total sales for each month goes to a cash buyer. And part of those cash buyers are just people that could be you in the future, where you have a house, you have sold your house, and now you're buying a new house. Are you kind of getting those same questions, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, across the board throughout California, where we lend exclusively, all over the state, people are running into very similar issues where the media is portraying that if you don't have a 20% down payment or all cash, you might not be able to buy in today's market, which is completely not the case. There's many programs with much less than 20% down. And if you are pre-approved and have a solid loan approval behind your offer, you can compete with cash buyers. There's certain situations where we'll look into waiving contingencies, to get more competitive. And those are really the advantages of working with a good team where they're going to put you up against somebody who actually does have cash. Now, that being said, cash is, although it's king, it definitely is not the norm. It's very rare that out of 10 purchases, more than two or three go all cash. And so we definitely don't want anyone to be discouraged thinking that there's just a ton of people buying with cash because from what we're seeing statistically both in Sacramento County and all over the state of California, that's just not the case right now.
Exactly. And that's one reason why you want to have a good team, especially a good realtor, because when I submit your offer, My goal is to make your offer a winning offer. So I'm selling your story. I'm having that communication with the listing agent, making sure they understand that you are a worthy buyer, that you're already qualified. Michael has done his due diligence to get you approved. He's calling that listing agent. We're working as a team, tag teaming, to make sure that we're presenting you in the best light to that seller. So your offer is going to be the obvious choice.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, one of the other questions that always comes up, I shouldn't say questions, but statement. The market is going to crash. I'm just going to
Mm.
wait for the market to crash to get into the game. And I'm telling you, folks, no one has a crystal ball. But one thing that we know is that is with the economy, it's not only real estate. We have to look at other markets. We have to look at the stock market. We have to look at the jobs market. Right now, the job market, there's really low unemployment. There's a lot of work out there for people. Now, maybe where you're at, you may be feeling the pinch, but globally, there are jobs out there. So as long as there's jobs and then the stock market is doing pretty relatively well, there's most likely not going to be a crash. And if you look at, you read economists, not the ones that's on the media, that's they only put negative things out there for you to watch. But if you go read other articles, and you'll find out that there's a different story being told on the other side. That doesn't mean that we're not all feeling the crunch and the pinch. So I don't want to, say that it's all, flowers and roses and daisies or whatnot. There is a challenge out there, but the challenge is not going to necessarily take us to a market crashing.
Yeah, I would just like to add that I completely agree with you. And there's some statistics that really point in the direction of not seeing a crash. And not only are jobs, we just had a report last week that came out showing that there were more jobs added in this country. It was like 95% more than expectations, which seems kind of absolutely absurd at this point when we're all feeling that pinch. We're feeling higher rates, higher costs. Gas is expensive, food is expensive, everything that we need to buy is expensive. And we're feeling that, but yet that is also put up against the entire country. And so if there's support for things like jobs and the unemployment rate stays extremely low, what that really fuels the Federal Reserve, which is where monetary policy comes from, is not feeling any pressure to lower interest rates. And if they don't feel any pressure to lower interest rates, then we can't kind of hold our hat on that being an advantage that we're going to hold out for. And that's one of the things that in statements and questions that consistently is coming up is, should I wait until rates come down? And the reason why that could definitely kind of work against you in the long run is that if you are to wait, and we don't know if it's going to be 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, or even longer before they come down considerably. During that time, if we don't have a recession, and if we do have one and it's a very soft recession, what will ultimately happen is that we'll see prices go up. And one of the things I know Suzette and I talk about this all the time is we want to get people in the door while they are still able to get a home at a reasonable price and where they still have some level of control over the offer and can feel a little bit more like the negotiation is on their side. Because as we've seen over the last 5 years, before the market we're in now, it was 100% a seller's market, and the buyer had very little, if any, power in negotiation.
That's perfect that you brought up that about the power in negotiations. So right now, since the market is soft for sellers, they're still selling their homes, but for a buyer, I'm seeing that we're able to negotiate the terms. We're able to ask for seller credits. Again, it's not always a guarantee, but I've been able to get, some $15,000 credits, get the price reduced because the seller wants to move into their next property. So they're like, want to let this one go. So imagine if the rates came down, there's going to be that much more buyers going into the market. So that means that you have more competition. Whereas right now, you may have one or two, maybe three people that you're competing against.
Yeah, that's absolutely so correct, and it's a good way of thinking about it because the other thing, from a financial perspective, is that one of the biggest fears is buying at the wrong time from a rate and ultimately a payment perspective, because it's the payment that really is coming out of your bank account or coming out of your paycheck on a monthly basis. And that part is true. Rates are higher now than they were last year, and they're higher now than they were 2 years ago and 3 years ago. But what is also true, going back to it being more of a buyer's market, is that now a buyer can get in, get a better deal at a higher interest rate, and then when the rates come down, they'll be able to refinance that home that they already own to get a better rate and payment versus waiting and then being in competition and potentially stiff competition with all these people that were on the fence that didn't buy. And now they're buying at a place where rates are a little bit better, but prices have increased. And so we were looking at a statistic about if you bought like at the peak of the pandemic, you might have paid anywhere from $50,000 to several $100,000 more for that property. And then the trade-off is now you might be buying a home and paying 1,000 or more per month in comparison to the rates of a couple years ago. But if you were paying 1,000 or more and you had to pay $100,000 more back then, that's 100 months before that transaction didn't make sense. So it's like over 7 years. And in the next 7 years, there's going to be a refinance opportunity. Might not be 2024. It most likely will definitely be by 2025, but it's not going to be 7 or 8 years from now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm hearing also. So just some takeaways we want to give everyone. One thing is that do a check-in with us, reach out to us to kind of like look at your personal situation to see kind of if there's anything additional that you can do. Is there any other programs that's coming out in 2024 that we can share with you? I just want to share also a couple of success stories. Like this year, we want to think out of the box also, looking at your journey, because we want to honor your journey, but we also want to give you some hope and some other options. This year, I had a couple of families where the mother and daughter teamed up together to buy a house. You know, I had one couple, they bought a small duplex. It was 1 bedroom now, it was 1 bedroom, but they knew that they wanted to get into that multi-family home because they know that that's not going to be there forever and dream home. I also am working with a couple of people, and I also earlier this year where the parents were able to pull money out of their house to help their kids with a down payment. So these are a lot of different options that we can kind of explore, talk to family members, talk to your friend. Maybe you have a good girlfriend, boyfriend that you may want to buy a house with. Of course, we're going to talk to you about doing a contract, but again, it's a way for you to get in.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Those are great ideas. And co-signers are a fantastic way. They don't have to be an occupant. Oftentimes, I'll have a parent say, I'm willing to co-sign, but I don't want to be on title. If we're doing a conventional loan, we can do that where they're on the loan and actually avoid being on title. So their finances aren't held up in the event that they need to do a future loan, and they wouldn't be obligated to the mortgage specifically because they're not considered an owner on title records. And another thing I know we were talking about, for the longest time, FHA loans have been the lowest down payment. And when they come to multifamily, it's very difficult to get an FHA loan on a multifamily property because there's a self-sufficiency test and you have to pass a certain amount of rent compared to the loan payment. But good news is on the way that Fannie Mae, which is government regulated conventional lending, is coming out with a program where you can do as little as 5% down on a multifamily. And that could be a great way in the door if you're looking to do still a low down payment for a first time home buyer, but wanting to have that rental property income coming in while you're still owner occupying the unit as well.
You know, these are all great ideas. And for some of you, you may be tracking along with us. And then some of you are like, what? Conventional owner
Right.
occupied rate? What? Like, I don't understand this. So that is the perfect reason to reach out to us. So again, my name is Suzette Loggins. I work for Premier Diamond Realty. Like, I am your go-to agent. I will honor your journey and I will get you into a home if that is something that you want. And I'm ready for you. So reach out to me.
Absolutely. And same here. Anytime we'll always, provide you with their contact information. Again, schedule some time. We could do a Zoom, we could do a conference call, really whatever works best for you. Ultimately, our goal is to make sure that all your questions are answered, that you're set up for success, and that ultimately you get the keys to a new home in your hand and you can have a wonderful time being a homeowner. Because ultimately, in this market right now, renting feels comfortable because typically that is what you've done. But home ownership is the way to build wealth, and it's the way to build long-term security for your retirement planning. And that's where we want to get you into that dream of home ownership.
Exactly. So I'm going to leave my and Michael's information down below. So please reach out to us. The call is free. All it is just, use of our time, but we're here for you. And that's what we love to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.